Everyone treats pensions like the holy grail of retirement benefits, guaranteed income for life. So, what could go wrong? Well, about everything. If you don't understand four critical factors that can make what seems like your safety net into a financial trap instead, limiting your options for decades. Because after working with hundreds of pension recipients and seeing both their biggest wins and costliest mistakes, what financial advisors aren't telling you could change everything about your retirement strategy. If you're watching this, you're part of an incredibly exclusive club. While the majority of public sector workers have pension access, only 15% of private sector workers today have access to a pension. But be warned, your pension is a double edged sword. Wield it correctly, and it becomes your most powerful retirement asset. But without understanding how it works within your broader financial picture, that same guaranteed income can create unexpected constraints and costly blind spots that last for decades. What makes your situation particularly unique is that you're navigating territory most financial advisors simply don't understand. Because you're so unique, the overwhelming majority of retirement advice out there is designed for people who are relying entirely on 401ks and personal savings. And when other advisors encounter pension recipients, they often apply just generic strategies that miss the sophisticated planning opportunities and pitfalls that come with guaranteed lifetime income. So, for better or worse, every dollar of your pension represents pre tax income that's locked in for life. This creates a ripple effect throughout your retirement planning that most people don't consider because it impacts your tax bracket for decades, impacts your Medicare premiums, influences your Social Security taxation, and provides constraints around flexibility for things like strategic tax planning for Roth conversions, for example. But the good news is that studies consistently show that pension recipients report significantly higher retirement satisfaction than those depending entirely on personal savings. There's that psychological peace of mind that comes from knowing that you'll receive a check every month for life that simply can't be replicated with a portfolio balance. You get to wake up each day knowing that your basic expenses are covered, regardless of what the stock market did overnight. But keep in mind, however, that a psychological security can create this dangerous overconfidence. I've seen too many pension recipients assume their guaranteed income makes retirement planning simple, only to discover costly mistakes years into retirement when it's too late to correct them. I had, for example, a client I'll call her Susan, a recently retired teacher who assumed her state pension was completely bulletproof. She was shocked to discover that her pension's cost of living adjustments had been frozen during her state's budget crisis, and what she thought was full inflation protection turned out to be only capped at 2% annually, during a period when actual inflation was running much higher. Another client of mine, I'll call her Margaret, spent 30 years with one of the country's largest employers and retired with what felt like a generous pension benefit. However, when the company went through bankruptcy proceedings, she discovered that the PBGC benefit limits were far below her promised pension amount. And what she thought was a guaranteed $4,200 a month became instead $3,800 a month, a reduction costing over six figures in lifetime benefits. So hopefully you're starting to understand that guaranteed income doesn't eliminate the need for planning, it just changes the type of planning required. And now that you understand why your pension makes you both fortunate and unique, let's dive into the most critical decision you will face. One that I've seen that makes people make $1 million mistakes based on an incomplete analysis. And that is the lump sum versus monthly payment decision. It can literally determine whether you'll retire with complete financial confidence or spend decades worrying about money. And most people approach it completely wrong. According to the Department of Labor findings, nearly 67% of pension lump sum offers undervalue the true actuarial worth of monthly benefit stream by an average of 18%. That represents tens of thousands of dollars of lost retirement value for most recipients. And understanding why requires knowing something that your employer hopes that you'll ignore, which is the discount rate that they calculate used in these lump sum offers. It's like being offered a pension of $500,000 for what should be $700,000. You'd only know the true value if you understood the return rate that they had assumed that you would get on your own. Most companies use higher discount rates than realistic market conditions justify so that they can make their lump sum offers appear more generous than they actually are. I'll share an example of a client, I'll call him Robert, who faced a similar choice: $580,000 for a lump sum or $3,200 a month for life. A simple break even analysis suggested that monthly payments were better as long as he lived past his early 80s. But his situation was much more complex. His wife, Sarah, was 48. 10 years younger than him with excellent health and good genes, suggesting her longevity would go into her 90s. This age difference completely changed the analysis because it highlighted a devastating reality most couples don't consider. It's what I call the survivor's double gut punch. If Robert took his life only pension and died first, Sarah would lose not only one of their income streams from Social Security, but also have to file taxes as single. This cuts the standard deduction in half, also pushing her into a higher tax bracket twice as fast. So, to help take care of Sarah, using that 100% survivor option would reduce his benefit from $3,200 a month to around $2,880 a month, a reduction of $320. Over a 25-year retirement, Robert would be essentially giving up over six figures in lifetime benefits to protect Sarah. On the other hand, the lump sum option changes everything. It preserves the full value for survivors while providing complete control for things such as tax planning, investment allocation, and legacy planning. Robert could take this $580,000 right away, invest it appropriately, and potentially replicate the monthly income stream while preserving the principal for Sarah's benefit. However, this strategy only works if you have the investment expertise and the emotional discipline to manage a lump sum effectively. I've seen retirees take this large amount with grand investment plans only to watch poor timing or emotional decisions destroy their entire financial security. This decision often comes down to three key factors: your investment experience and comfort level, your family's health and longevity patterns, and your priorities around tax planning and your legacy goals. Given the complexity and long term implications, this analysis requires expert guidance from someone who both understands the pension optimization side and your personal circumstances. If you're curious how your specific pension terms apply and which option maximizes your lifetime benefits, I encourage you to click the link in the description to book a call with me, where we'll explore how we can protect your specific retirement goals paired with your pension. But regardless of which option you choose, there's a silent threat that is devastating pension recipients across the country: inflation. It's the retirement killer that pension recipients consistently underestimate, and the damage it causes is both invisible and irreversible. Your fixed pension is like a car with a gas tank that shrinks each year. You're covering less distance with the same amount of fuel, and there's nothing you can do to refill the tank. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics data, a fixed pension losing just 3% annually to inflation will have its purchasing power cut in half after 24 years of retirement. That's like a 60-year-old retiring now, but their pension only covers half as much when they're 84 years old. It's pretty scary. Most pension holders falsely believe that their benefits have meaningful inflation protection. However, even pensions with cost of living adjustments typically cap increases around 2 to 3%, which often fall short of actual inflation, especially for those when you count in healthcare costs that hit retirees the hardest. The reality of COLA, cost of living adjustment protection, is that it's much harsher than people realize. A couple examples, such as Illinois teachers saw their pension COLA suspended during budget crises. California public employees discovered that their guaranteed COLAs could be modified by legislation after the fact. And even Delta pilots who retired in the 1990s believed their pension benefits were secure and would grow with inflation. But when Delta went through a bankruptcy in the mid 2000s, the PBGC took over their pensions, and many pilots lost both their inflation adjustments and portions of their base benefits. The sophisticated strategy for fighting inflation requires you to think of the pension as the fixed income portion of your overall portfolio. Since you have guaranteed income covering your basic expenses, your other investments, such as your 401k, IRA, Roth IRA, and brokerage accounts, can aggressively focus on growth to combat inflation. So, for those considering the lump sum option, inflation should heavily weigh into your decision. A well managed lump sum option can be invested in assets that historically outpace inflation. But again, this only works if you maintain the investment discipline to actually beat inflation over time. It's the difference between taking the lump sum option that takes the risk on your shoulders versus the pension fixed monthly option that puts the risk on the issuer's shoulders. Current economic conditions make inflation protection more critical than it's been in decades. The tragic irony is that pension recipients often feel most secure about inflation because they have guaranteed income, when in reality, they're among the most vulnerable to its devastating effects. So now let's examine how to coordinate your pension with Social Security, a strategy that can add tens of thousands of dollars to your lifetime income. Most pension recipients leave massive amounts of money on the table because they treat pension and Social Security as separate, unrelated income sources instead of how to figure out how to coordinate them and drastically increase total lifetime benefits. The age old advice to delay Social Security on and on until age 70 for maximum benefits often doesn't apply for pension recipients. So instead, when you have guaranteed income from your pension, you can afford to optimize for total household income and tax efficiency rather than trying to maximize your individual benefits by delaying to 70. Let me illustrate with a client couple. I'll call them Tom and Linda. Both were 62. Tom had a $2,800 monthly pension starting immediately. Since Tom's pension provided income right away, they were able to claim Linda's Social Security at 62, generating close to $2,000 a month for 8 years, while Tom delayed his Social Security benefit until 70. This strategy produced around $180,000 of Social Security income during those 8 years that they would have forfeited had they both waited. Meanwhile, Tom's delayed benefit grew from $2,400 a month at 62 to $3,100 a month at 70, creating a powerful inflation adjusted income stream for their later retirement years. This tax coordination between pension and Social Security requires some careful orchestration. Social Security benefits become taxable when your combined income exceeds specific thresholds. 50% is taxable above $32,000 of income for married couples, and then 85% of it is taxable above $44,000 of income. And since your pension counts as income for these calculations, you might immediately be paying taxes on up to 85% of your Social Security benefits. But this coordination becomes critical when planning for survivor benefits. Like I mentioned before, when one spouse dies, the survivor faces what I call the double gut punch, losing not only one Social Security stream, but also simultaneously being forced to file tax as a single. This means that surviving spouse's income is not only lower, but they're forced into a higher tax bracket at the same time many times. But the good news is that for the right situation, delaying Social Security can be particularly powerful for the surviving spouse in mind. Since your pension provides that immediate income security, you can often afford to delay Social Security until age 70. This inflation adjusted income source then grows by 8% per year between full retirement age and 70 while you're waiting, providing substantial protection against inflation for your later retirement years and that surviving spouse. Working with a financial professional who understands both the pension optimization and Social Security planning becomes essential for maximizing your total benefits for your unique situation. This is especially key so you can layer in these last few strategies I'll share to get the most out of your pension plan when paired with Roth conversions, life insurance, and even your investment allocation. Most conventional planning assumes you'll have lower income in retirement, but as we've said, that's usually not true for pension recipients. In fact, you might actually be in the same tax bracket or higher than you were in your working years. This creates powerful opportunities for strategic Roth conversion planning. For example, I work with a client, I'll call him James, who had a substantial monthly pension starting at 62. But instead of starting Social Security immediately, we delayed his benefits until 70 and then used those 8 years to systematically convert portions of his traditional IRA into Roth accounts, paying taxes at the current rates rather than potentially future rates. And some pension recipients benefit from what I would call a supercharged pension maximization strategy. Instead of choosing the 100% survivorship option that significantly reduces monthly payments, you still take the single life higher payment and then consider purchasing life insurance to protect your surviving spouse. This approach often delivers superior protection while maintaining more flexibility. Your pension also can fundamentally change how you should approach asset allocation with your overall investment portfolio. Since you have this guaranteed income covering basic expenses, your 401k, IRA, Roth IRA, brokerage account, etc., can be invested more aggressively for growth and inflation protection. Think of your pension as your bond portion of your overall portfolio. The complexity of optimizing your pension benefits, coordinating with Social Security, managing tax implications, and planning for survivor benefits requires a more sophisticated analysis that goes far beyond generic retirement advice. Working with a financial professional who specializes in pension planning becomes invaluable for navigating these complex decisions that will impact really every aspect of your retirement for decades. So now that you understand why having a pension doesn't make retirement planning simple, it transforms it into a sophisticated optimization challenge with enormous potential rewards for those who get it right. Wielded correctly through proper coordination with Social Security, protection against inflation, strategic tax planning, and appropriate survivor benefit selection, it becomes an incredibly powerful tool for retirement security. But approached with false confidence or generic advice, that same guaranteed income can create constraints and missed opportunities that last for decades. So, congratulations for being part of an exclusive group with pension access. That makes you fortunate, but also means you should take specialized care that most financial advisors simply don't provide. If you'd like a personalized analysis of your pension options and how to coordinate them with your overall retirement strategy, click the link in the description to book a call with me. We'll discover how these factors apply to your unique situation and develop a comprehensive approach for optimizing your retirement. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.